Okay, children, now we can continue with saving function, that is propensity to save. So we already know that this in an economy, okay, that is suggested by James Keynes, that in a closed economy where we have only two agents, okay, or two sectors, or you can say that is a two sector model where we have only household and firms, the income is either fully consumed or partly consumed, okay. And when the income is partly uh, used for the consumption purpose, some amount of money is saved, okay, some amount of money is left, uh, and that is only known as your saving, okay. So we already know this basic concept of consumption and saving. So from this part, okay, from this particular formula, we can derive the formula of saving. So S equals to Y minus C. So we can see out here this one, yeah. Saving is equals to income minus consumption. Okay, for example, if your income is 1000 and your consumption expenditure is 800, which means 200 is your saving. Okay, so this is a very basic and a simple concept of saving. Okay, we already know this part, right? Now, just like we had in case of consumption, that is uh, APC, okay, average propensity to consumption, okay. Similarly, we have APS, average propensity to save, and MPS, marginal propensity to save. It's very simple. What is APS? By APS, we mean that it is the, what do you say, the proportion of income that households want to save. For example, if your income is 1000 again, and you want to save rupees 100, you want to save rupees 200 or 300. So that is basically your APS, that is average propensity to save. Okay, what portion of income you want to save? Okay, so that is your APS. Now what is MPS? MPS is actually the ratio. Okay, it define, it is expressed in terms of the ratio only. It is actually the change in the total desired saving to change in total income. Okay, now let us suppose that your previous income was 1000 and your income has been increased from 1000 to 1200. So there is a change in income by 200. So due to change in your income, obviously there will be change in your saving as well, isn't it? So that is your MPS. Okay, now what is the relationship between consumption function and saving function? It's very simple. APC plus APS should be equals to 1. And similarly, MPC plus MPS, it should be equals to 1. Why it is so? Because we already know that Y is equals to C plus S. Okay? Either the entire income is used for the consumption expenditure or some portion of income is saved. Okay? And 1 it uh, defines for the full amount. Okay, that is your income. Okay, 1 is actually your whole number. Okay, now we can see from this particular schedule or table the relationship between consumption function and saving function. Okay, just like we have already derived this portion, that is APC plus APS equals 1 or MPC plus MPS equals to 1. Okay, so this is what the relationship between the consumption function and saving function. Now let us try to understand the same from schedule. Now let us assume that when your income was 0, okay, we already know that there is always uh, uh, the autonomous consumption expenditure in the economy. Okay, so let us assume that consumption is 1. So in this particular case, income is 0 and consumption is 1. Okay, so which means that saving is negative. Okay, your saving will be negative. Okay, and when your income increases from 0 to 2, your consumption, obviously with increase in income, your consumption expenditure also increases. Okay, so 2 minus 3, it will be minus 1. Again, your saving is negative. Okay, but uh, with increase in income, your consumption expenditure also increases. We already know that. Okay, so now when your income was increased from 2 to 4, let us assume that your consumption also increases. So at this point of time, let us assume that income is equals to consumption. Okay, that is y equals to c. So in this case, your saving will be 0. Okay, and again, your income has increased from 4 to 6. And we already know from the consumption function that with increase in income, your consumption also increases. But it should be remembered that your consumption expenditure increases, but not as your increase in income. Okay, because the entire portion of income is not used for the consumption purpose. Okay, some portion of income must be saved by the household. Okay, for example, if your income was 10,000 and it has been increased to 15,000, or from 15 to 20,000, will you be spending the entire income, or you want to save some portion of money? A rational individual will always save some portion of income with increase in his or her income. So when the income was increased from 4 to 6, your consumption also increases. Okay, but not as your income. So let us assume that the consumption is only 5. So which means 6 minus 5, 1. So now we can see that there is a positive saving. Okay, so previously this saving was negative. Now we can see that the saving is now positive. So similarly, 6 to 8, your consumption also increases, but not as your income. So saving will be 2. So the same drawing can be made out here. Okay, this this is a graphical representation of the relationship between consumption function and saving function. Okay, so we are familiar with this first graph. We already know this graph. We have already discussed about this graph in the previous video. Okay, this consumption function. Okay, and this graph is about your saving function. Okay, so we are trying to draw a relationship between consumption function and saving function out here. Okay, so we already know this graph. Okay, now let us go back to this schedule. Now here you can see that initially your saving was negative. Okay, and it becomes 0, and then after some point of time, with rise in income, with continuous rise in income, your saving will be now positive. Okay, so saving has 3 aspects. That is negative initially, okay, then 0, then positive. Okay, so now you can see this particular consumption function. We already know this part. Okay, so this OY is your income. Okay, and this line, okay, you can call it to be C. Okay, CC. So this line is your consumption, isn't it? So now when this income is equals to C, okay, when income is equals to consumption, okay, so here also you can see the same graph. Here income is equals to your, this blue line, income is equals to your consumption. Okay, so let me just take you to this schedule one more time. When income y is equals to C, okay, when y is equals to C, then your saving will be 0, and this point is also known as a break-even point. Okay, so y, so when y was equals to C, your saving will be 0 out here. Okay, but now you can see at this point. Okay, so when at this situation, Okay, when your income was less than your consumption, the saving will be negative. You can see clearly from this particular schedule that when your income was less than consumption, okay, 1 3, okay, so at this point, okay, till this point, okay, 0 1 2 3, saving is negative. Saving is negative. And here I have already shown you in this particular uh, graph previously that this is your dis-saving, okay, and beyond this point it will be your saving, okay, right? And when income is equals to C, saving will be equals to 0, okay. So here is equals to 0 at y equals to C. So when your income is equals to consumption, your saving will be 0, okay. But when your income is more than your consumption, okay, as you can see that this graph, okay, I mean this line, okay, this line of income previously, okay, at the initial stage, this income curve is lying below the consumption curve, which means your income is less than consumption. So at this point of time, there will be dis-saving, okay? That is the saving will be negative, okay? But when your income is equals to C, then your saving will be 0, okay? Now you can see at this point of time that your income curve is lying above your consumption, which means there will be a positive saving. So this is your case, okay? I hope you have understood this part. It's very, very simple. Now, we can draw the observations from this particular graph. Okay, so there are 4 observations that we can draw out here, that when income is equals to 0, saving is negative. That is your dis-saving. Okay, but when income is equals to consumption, your saving is 0. But when income is more than consumption at this point, okay, from this AY, okay, when income is more than consumption, saving is positive. And it should be noted that income and savings, they are directly related, which means more the income, more the amount of saving. Okay, this is very simple concept, because this saving function is quite related to your consumption function. Okay, so if you have understood this consumption aspect, saving is also very simple to understand. Okay, now we don't have to study about this investment expenditure in great detail, okay, but still let us try to understand the concept of investment expenditure. Okay, what is induced investment and autonomous investment? Okay, so let us just try to understand. Now, what do you mean by the investment expenditure? By investment expenditure, we mean the aggregate expenditure that is made by the firms, okay, be it both private and public. Okay, so when they make the investment, okay, for buying the fixed stock of capital assets, okay, that is your fixed assets in fact, okay, so that is known as your investment. Okay, so we already know that there are uh, 2 main types of companies, that is, one is private company and we have public company. Okay, and when both these private and public companies or the firms, they invest in the market, that is called your investment expenditure. Remember, household, they make the consumption expenditure, whereas the firms, they make investment expenditure. Okay, so we already know that we are discussing only this 2-sector model of the Keynes. Okay, only and only in this particular chapter, this theory of what is this called, income and employment, we will discuss about the working of economy in 2-sector model only. Okay, so in a 2-sector model we have household and firms. So households, they make consumption and they make savings as well, isn't it? But from the firms, they make investment. Okay, okay, now so that is your investment expenditure. But now, what is this induced investment and autonomous investment? It is just like your induced consumption and autonomous consumption. So this induced investment is a type of investment which is uh, the result of the change in the level of income, okay, which is actually driven by the level of income, which is affected by the level of income. The more the income, the more the investment. The less the income, the less the investment. Okay, so that is your induced investment. Okay, but what is autonomous investment? Just like we had autonomous consumption, similarly, it is assumed in the economy that there exists a minimum level of investment even if the level of income or output is zero. That is known as your autonomous investment. Okay, and now if okay, yeah, we can see in this particular picture only, this is your autonomous investment. Okay, this is your horizontal line. Okay, so this is your autonomous investment, because at any level of income, okay, be it the level of the income be 0 or 1, 2, 3, whatever, we let us assume that this is your level of investment. That is your autonomous investment. Okay, so this green line which I'm showing out here is nothing but the autonomous investment. Okay, so this graph which you can see out here, this is a famous graph which I have used out here. So if you draw a green line out here, or any kind of line you want to draw out here, okay, a horizontal line, that is your autonomous investment. Okay, okay, so this green line is actually your autonomous investment. Remember, autonomous investment. Okay, not the induced investment. Okay, I hope you have understood this part. Okay, just uh, assume it to be. Okay, no need to think this and that. Okay, if you want to change this model, then if you want to change this graph, then there will be more complications out here. Okay, let us just try to understand this thing in a very simple concept. Okay, let us not go in depth about it. Okay, in fact, we don't have to go in depth now. Before we continue with the equilibrium section, we just have to understand these few points. That is, your AD, that is your aggregate demand, is expressed in terms of the money value. Okay, and that is also equals to your income. Okay, and we already know that aggregate demand is also equals to C plus I. So since your AD is equals to Y, and again your AD is equals to C plus I, so we can simply write Y is equals to C plus I. Okay, and we already know that your aggregate supply is equals to income. Okay, and your aggregate supply is also equals to your C plus S. Then we can simply write AD is equals to Y, okay, equals to AS. That is your aggregate supply. Okay, and we already know that your AD or Y, whatever you want to say, it is equals to your C plus I. So C plus I, so this is your AD or Y, whatever you want to call it, and your AS or Y is equals to C plus S. So if we want to derive this, then this C and this C, it will negate each other. Okay, if you pull this C out here, okay, the sign of this C, it will be changed. Okay, it will be negative. So C minus C, it will be 0. So I is equals to S. So we can say that your investment is equals to saving. Okay, so this is what you need to understand. Okay, then we can move on to this equilibrium section. We will discuss about this equilibrium in the next video.